people today. They could spend half their lives over 50. That's a lot of living. So it helps to have a wise friend and fierce defender in your corner. A friend like AARP. So your health lives longer.
This is just slow-mo karate?
Just slow-mo karate.
Your money lives longer.
I just bought that.
I just sold that.
And your happiness lives longer. That's why the younger you are, the more you need AARP. Join today.
Hello, my name is Teresa Collins, and I am an Executive Council member for AARP Illinois. AARP, a nonprofit, nonpartisan member organization, has been working to promote the health and well-being of older Americans for more than 60 years. AARP Illinois is proud to represent all those who are 50 plus in Illinois and our 1.7 million members. And we thank you for the opportunity to be your wise friend and fierce defender. Our mission is to enhance the quality of life for all as we age, leading positive social change and delivering value to members through advocacy, service, and information. At AARP, we know that staying fit is one of the pillars of healthy living, and we want to help you on your fitness journey. Physical activity can boost memory, improve thinking, and even lower dementia risk. It's not too late to start. AARP is proud to offer today's virtual event to start or continue you on your fitness journey. Have a wonderful class and enjoy.
Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Diane Butera and this is your webinar called Healthy Hips and a Strong Back. Wow, that's a big, tall order here. Healthy hips and a strong back. First, I want to say thank you to AARP Illinois and to Teresa Jones for giving me this opportunity to present. I love sharing information with you, and even more so, I am so grateful I get the opportunity to help you. I want to tell you a little bit about myself, but before we get started, I want to let you know that this class is going to be a lot of movement. And you'll need a few props. And I do have in that first slide there, it says have a therapy / pinky ball. Looks like this. This is a pinky ball. If you don't have one, maybe you have a tennis ball. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. You'll just maybe massage your feet a little bit because I do want you to work with your feet. We do lots of things with the pinky ball. I love them for working with the hands too. Then it says a block. A block is a yoga block. It looks like this, but you can roll up a towel to these dimensions here. And then a strap could be a scarf, or a dish towel, a belt. All right, so you have some different options there. All right, then there's a couple other props that we're going to be using. And if you don't have things, remember you can watch this recording over and over again. So when it comes time to watch it again, you'll know what props you'll need to have. Those other props are a TheraBand and a bolster or a really thick pillow. And yeah, I think that's it. I'd like you to have those extra. Oh, and a weight. I typically for dead weights use the deadlifts. I do 45 pounds. If you're just starting out, you probably want to do 15 pounds. If you're in really good shape, you could probably start with 25 pounds at the very most. But today, don't worry about doing the deadlifts. I just want you to see the form. Deadlifts are going to be really important. They give you the most bang for your buck when it comes to working with your glutes and your back, which the glutes have a lot to do with the healthy hips. All right, so I added on a weight, a heavy weight. I added on the TheraBand and I added on a bolster. All right, so if you happen to have those, go ahead. My hope is that you'll just sit back and participate and have an enjoyable session with me watching this webinar. As I said, you can go back and watch it. I wouldn't worry too much about taking notes. It's so much easier if you can just be present and participate. Okay, all right, so what's on the agenda for today? We're going to move on. And first, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about me, why I teach this class, why it's important to me, where I think I can be useful or helpful. We'll talk about what happens as we age with our hips and our back. We'll talk a lot about mobility and strength. I do want to give you some anatomy, so you're going to learn about your SI joint, the glute medius, your psoas muscle. Look, you can see how that's spelled. It's Funny spelling, huh? The piriformis muscle. We'll spend some time about what it means to release the psoas muscle. I'll show you a technique about that and why it's so important in its relationship to your diaphragm, your primary breathing muscle, and how your breath and your psoas muscle, the state of your psoas is the state of your breathing and vice versa. So there's a very direct connection there. So we will talk about breath as well. I don't think any of this information is useful if we don't know how to apply it to our daily lives, if we can't integrate it. I know you can go on the internet, look at lots of different YouTube videos, read articles, listen to podcasts, take classes at your gym. There's lots of opportunity to get this information, but if we don't know how to apply it or integrate it into our lives, then it's not very useful. So I do want to make sure we talk about habits. We all have a different experience. We come with a different body. We have come with different health conditions. We have different circumstances. Maybe we are an amputee, maybe we're a caretaker, perhaps we're having trouble getting out of a chair. There's so many things that are going on, and I don't want to come across as, oh, just do this, give you this blanket recipe, and everybody's going to be fine. So I want you to know that I'm here to offer some options, and I hope to give you progressions with different activities. And it certainly does not mean that you should be able to do all of them. And if you just, whatever you do is great. Showing up and doing something every day. Show up, do something every day, and believe me, you'll see improvement. You can't help it. All right, then we're going to do a seated, standing, and floor practice. So for some of us, the seated ones will be all we do. Then maybe some people will be do the standing, and then we do need to come to the floor. So I tried to keep it so we're not going up and down, and then you can decide where you want to be. Along the way, after we talk about the different, the physiology, the anatomy of the body, I do want to do something called a psoas meditation. That probably sounds really funny, but it's a mind-body practice of using visualization. Visualization is really powerful. So I'm going to show you what your psoas muscle looks like. And we're going to use a mindfulness tool of guided meditation to release the psoas. A lot of times we think about stretching a muscle, and I like to think about releasing and reducing tension in a muscle. It's very hard to get strong when a muscle's tense, so you do need to know how to relax it. I'll do some review. I'll offer you some resources. And again, you can watch this recording more times. So Ben's going to spotlight me. I'm going to talk a little bit about why this class is important, what I've learned along the way, and why I teach it. I often teach things that I have been very curious about because I experience it in my body. And this thing about the back and the hips, I remember throughout my lifetime, my mom sending me this message, be careful, you'll hurt your back, be careful. I don't know if that was a really good approach, that if we keep putting that in our minds, like, oh, I have a bad knee, or, I'm just not ever going to be able to be have good range of motion. Things that we say to ourselves, and we'll talk a bit about what we say to ourselves as we age. I don't know if that's very helpful, but unfortunately, I did hurt my back, and I did it in a way that many people do. It was a sudden trauma. I was in a step aerobics class. I kicked my leg out at a diagonal. I felt it happen. And then it was just downhill after that. And I spent years and years and years and years chasing after a fix for this low back pain, which is really SI pain. SI means your sacroiliac joint. You're going to see what that looks like and be very clear about where that SI joint is as I move through the different diagrams that I have for you. So that got me kind of started there with, back pain, low back pain. And that happened in my probably around 40. And so I've researched a lot. I'm a yoga teacher. I teach Pilates. I've been to a lot of physical therapists. I do so many different things to take care of my body, and many of them are helpful. But the most important thing is if I don't do the exercises, I'm in more pain. I never seem to get rid of the pain completely, but if I keep up with that routine of doing those things I know that are going to keep my glutes strong, my core strong, my back strong, good ankle mobility, good sleep. If I do all those things, I definitely feel better. And I know it's a lot of work to take care of an aging body, isn't it? So many things to take care of. I think that the people in the blue zones, those are areas where they live longer, healthier. I think the reason they're so successful is because it's built into their daily life. They don't have to join a gym, find a membership. They don't have to go to Whole Foods for good organic food. They don't have to join a book club to get social connection. It's all woven into their daily experience. But in our country, it seems like we have to do a little more work to get those things. Hopefully, you are living in an area where those things are more accessible to you, and it's a lot easier. And again, we'll talk about how to build on those habits, cultivate healthy habits, and especially for having a strong back and healthy hips. All right, so this thing about hips, I am not a person who's had much experience with hip pain. I have had sciatica, so we're going to talk about sciatica. But hip pain, being a yoga teacher, there's a couple of things I've seen happen for people with hip pain. First of all, when they say, "Oh, my hips are so tight," and then they point to a different area that's really not their hips. It's more related to their hip flexor muscles. The major player is the psoas muscle, the hip flexors. Those can get tight. They can get tight because of, guess what, too much sitting. And they can also get tight from a lot of exercise. So both ways. So we do want to know how to relax the psoas muscle. Hence, we're going to do that psoas meditation. And we're going to talk a lot about strengthening the core, because what happens is when we don't have a strong core, strong abdominal muscles, then the default is the hip flexors, and they do way too much work for us. So we do need to have that strong core. But it's tricky because the psoas muscle says, don't worry, I got you. You don't have to work hard. And it's hard to break that habit. But I'm going to give you some movements that are going to help you with that. So because I teach, because I was trained in yoga, I owned a yoga studio, I trained hundreds of teachers, I've taken, I don't know, thousands of hours of training. One of the things that I've learned is that in yoga, people often come to a yoga class because they have something called joint laxity or hypermobility. So they can do a lot of things with their hips and their pelvis that aren't necessarily, actually, that aren't good for them. Let's just put it that way. So they love that pigeon pose or sitting cross-legged, puts them into end range, bone on bone, causes problems with ligaments and tendons, which don't fix themselves. And so we're going to talk a little bit about joint laxity and or hypermobility. I do want you to have some awareness of that. We'll do some assessments for glute strength and joint laxity. But what I want to say is just because somebody says, oh, this is a good hip opener, I don't know if I would necessarily do that exercise. I'm more interested in having you work on relaxing, releasing your psoas muscle, strengthening your psoas muscle, working on your glute strength, working on your core, rather than doing these poses where you're like, oh, this stretch feels so good. It's usually a temporary fix and often can cause more harm than good. Okay. All that being said, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physical therapist. So I'm not prescribing things for you. I'm helping. What I'm hoping I'm doing is informing, giving you information, and then maybe you want to do a deeper dive. Maybe some of the resources I provide for you will get you interested in going a little further with this information. What's important to me is that you feel empowered. Like you feel like I can go to my doctor and talk about, hey, I'm starting to notice that here's where it's more painful or tight. And I've learned that there are some hip flexors there and that there's a psoas muscle. Do you think I might need to see a physical therapist for treating my psoas muscle? Or wherever else is a jumping off spot for you so that you feel empowered to go and talk to your doctor. And so important to have a good doctor who really listens and an excellent physical therapist. And the way I gauge an excellent physical therapist is one that knows how to use their hands to make assessments. They can really feel, they can palpate, they can do muscle testing. It's more than just the recipes for, this is what you do for SI pain. All right. So because I've worked with so many different people in different settings, I feel that the hips and the back and the shoulders and the neck, but hips and back are often the major suspects when it comes to being uncomfortable in our body. But I also want to add in that if we don't address the feet and ankle mobility, we are doing ourselves such a big disservice. Having good ankle mobility is so important. It affects the knees, the hips, the low back. It affects everything. And then if you take my class, I did one on fascia. Fascia is really important. Fascia is a connective tissue, and you get kinks in one place of the fascia causes discomfort or dis-ease or problems in another area. So it's good to know about a soft foam roller. A soft foam roller. We're not going to get to that today, but that's myofascial release. All right. We could do a whole week on all this stuff, you guys. So I talk fast. I try to fit it all in, but mostly I hope it's just gets you excited about learning more about yourself and gives you some hope that you can get out of pain. Or if you're not in pain, reminds you how to stay out of pain and how to keep your body strong and healthy by taking care of your hips and back, which means we take care of our feet, which means we address our glutes, which means we work on our abs, which means we get good sleep and good nutrition, and on, right? Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next slide. I like to talk about mobility rather than flexibility. And I think it's a really important distinction when we use language to talk about wanting to have greater mobility. Mobility means functional range of movement. You can do the things that you need to do. Okay? You do not need to put your leg behind your head. That's a parlor trick, right? So yeah, flexibility is part of mobility, but I think the more important focus is mobility. And when it comes to mobility, it has so many gifts for us. It means we can be independent, right? It means we can be social. We can get out and do things. And it means we don't fall as easily, right? When we've got good mobility. Our quality of life is better. So that's a lot of good reasons to work on our mobility. And I don't care if you're in a chair or a wheelchair or not that I don't care, but what I want to say is there are so many things you can do from a chair. And the important thing is we need to do them every day. Okay. All right. As I mentioned, we're moving on here that, unfortunately, well, actually, fortunately, we get to age. Lucky us, right? We get to age. But as we age, things happen that are that nobody gets to avoid, but we can slow down. We can slow it down. It is a fact that we lose muscle mass as we age. That's why we have to do some weight-bearing exercises, activities. You don't have to do a lot. A couple times a week, I think is important. Most important thing you can do is walk. I understand that some of us are experiencing chronic conditions that interfere with our ability to do a lot, especially if you're in pain. It's very hard to get up and get moving. But if you've watched my webinar on sleep or my webinar on the gut microbiome, there are so many chronic conditions that can be healed by changing what we eat and how well we sleep. It's tricky because sometimes the conditions make it difficult to eat well or sleep well. All right. Again, a sedentary lifestyle. We have to keep moving. We have to keep moving, whatever it is. Sitting in a chair, rolling our joints, rolling the ankles, sit to stand, using a strap to work with the legs. Okay. Next is strength. So we can have mobility, we can get around, but if we don't have strength, then we may not be able to be independent either. So having that strength so that if we trip, we can right ourselves without falling, without breaking a hip, and we can enjoy many of the activities that we want to do. We want to have strong muscles. And again, the factors that affect strength, we're on the next slide here, are very similar to what affects mobility. And notice I put in poor nutrition. We do need more protein as we age. I am a big fan of eating a plant-based diet, but I eat about 80% plant, whole food, real food, not packaged or preserved food. But I also get protein. So good quality protein, organic chicken, wild fish. You want to check out which ones are best for you. All right, so we're going to move on. really want to get to the movement part, but I'm going to talk to you about some different parts of your body. So SI joint, it stands for sacroiliac. So that's where the sacrum meets the iliac bones. The iliac bones are your hip bones, those hip crests. You can't quite see them in the picture there, but they're, if you put your hands on your hips, you're going to feel the ilium. That is the hip crest. It's an important joint because this is where the SI joint is where you are transferring the load from the spine to the lower body. It helps you stabilize. And when it becomes too mobile or hypermobile, then it can lead to inflammation. If we get some trauma to it, it can lead to some inflammation as well. If you have low back pain in that area where the SI joint is, and if you put your hands behind your back, let me see if I can show you. Put your hands behind your back. Usually for people, it's right in here. This is where they feel it, right in here. Okay, mine's right more like here, and typically it's more one side than the other. So that's where your pain is. It's typically SI pain, sacroiliac pain. It plays such an important role. That joint plays such an important role in walking, bending, twisting. We want it to be healthy. Pregnancy can cause a lot of joint laxity, so that there are some conditions that really do affect. There's a condition, pubic symphysis, that affects the pelvis because of the joint laxity. But arthritis, uneven leg length, not having good shoes, or repetitive stress, heavy lifting. That's why you see the people with the belts on. And by the way, wearing a trochanter belt, if you suspect that it's your SI joint, wearing a trochanter belt the right way can give you a great sense of relief. So if you're suspecting that's what's going on and no one's ever talked to you about this, you might want to start with that trochanter belt. All right. I want to talk to you about your spine. Your spine. So different parts of your spine, you've probably heard your doctor say, oh, you know, you've got some arthritis here at C4, or we're on the next slide. Or you've got some, I see, you know, your lumbar spine has a bulging disc. So looking at the spine, I'm going to move forward, Ben, on the slides. There you go. So looking at your spine, it's broken down here. You can see the green is cervical spine. And then the yellow is the thoracic spine. And then pink is the lumbar spine. And if you go down to the blue, that's your sacrum. And that's where that sacroiliac joint is. And at the very bottom, at the very tip, I think it might be red over there. Yeah, that's your tailbone. Tailbone's important. A lot of times people can have a tailbone that's out of whack. A good PT can assess that. Often, particularly with men, they have a tendency to tuck their tailbone, which is going to throw the pelvis into a posterior tilt. So we don't really want to do that either. All right. A lot of the movements that we're going to be doing are going to focus on your thoracic spine. So you can look and see thoracic spine is that orange part. We're going to go back to that spine. Yeah, so thoracic spine is that orange part. And that's where we tend to get stuck a lot. That's particularly because as we age, we start to lose strength. Muscles in the chest are tight. Our head pitches forward. We start to round. And then that thoracic spine loses its mobility and it loses its strength. So many of the activities that we'll be doing today are going to be really good for your thoracic spine. I want you to have more mobility there. So we're going to work on extension. Extension means you move away. We're going to work on a little bit of flexion. Things like cat-cow. If you've ever seen cat-cow done in a yoga class, that's really working with the thoracic spine. At the bottom, that lumbar spine, big heavy discs that are really not great for twisting. So when we do our twists, we want them to come more from the, well, we want them to come from the thoracic spine and then of course the cervical spine too. All right, stay there for a second. I still want to talk a little bit more about this idea about the thoracic spine. If we are tight in the chest, it's going to inhibit movement, mobility of the thoracic spine as well. That's why I say, you know, it's not a one thing. We've got to work with the whole body, and we start with from the ground up, start with the feet, the ankle mobility, healthy knees, healthy hips. All right. Okay, we can move forward now. Okay, the mighty psoas. I got the mighty psoas. This muscle fascinates me. When I was first introduced to this, I was so surprised about this muscle. Now, it's really hard to find your own psoas muscle. It's very deep in there. But take a look at the picture. It shows that it attaches. This is going to be really important. I want you to take a snapshot of this because we're going to do a meditation where I want you to visualize your own psoas muscle. All right, so you can see, you already know that's your lumbar spine, that it attaches at the top, at the lumbar spine. Can you see that? Yeah. And then look at how interesting this muscle is. It attaches on your upper body, and then it attaches on your lower body. That is a pretty fascinating muscle there, right? And it attaches to your femur bone. That's your leg bone, and it attaches on the inside. It's called the lesser trochanter. That's where that psoas muscle. Trying to see if I have another picture here I might want to show you. Nah, that's probably good enough. All right. So there's your psoas muscle. Take a picture of that because you're going to be visualizing that. Look how big and fat it is in the middle. Look at the attachments there. You can see how it attaches along the low back. So did you ever go for a long car ride or sit for a long period of time? Think about the position that your leg is in. Remember, it attaches at your leg. So when you sit, your leg is like this, right? So what happens there to the hip flexor muscle, that psoas muscle, is it contracts. It contracts. It shortens. It contracts. And then you go to get out of the car, you go to stand up, and it pulls on your low back. That's why you're like, oh, you know, not only does it, you have some symptoms and you feel something here, but you're also going to feel it in the low back because of how it attaches along the lumbar spine, which you know where that is now. All right. There are a lot of reasons why people have problems with the psoas muscle, and I'm not going into a deep dive, you guys. I know some people have bulging discs, some people have spinal stenosis, some people have piriformis syndrome. I mean, there's so many different things, but I want to give you the basics so that you can at least start to get acquainted with your body, and then maybe some of these things will be helpful when we, for instance, working on your core, working on your glutes. All right. Some of the symptoms of psoas-related back pain, pain when you're standing up from a seated position, just like I demonstrated getting out of the car, feeling really uncomfortable in your low back from standing or walking for long periods of time, pain that radiates into the hip, groin, or the thigh, or that feeling of stiffness or pulling in the low back. All right, so we're going to move on. So this is very cool. See this picture here? That's your rib cage, and that pink muscle there inside the rib cage is called your diaphragm. It's your primary breathing muscle. And then you know what your psoas looks like, so you can see the psoas attaching along the lumbar spine and going down. What's so fascinating here is that the diaphragm muscle and the psoas muscle share connective tissue. They have connective tissue, and it kind of interdigitates the muscle there. So why do we say that the state of the diaphragm is the state of the psoas, or the state of the psoas is the state of the diaphragm? So think about this. Here's your diaphragm muscle, and I'm going to try to come close to you guys so you can see my hands. This is your diaphragm muscle. This is when it's released up, right? So when it releases up, it's going to pull the psoas muscle up. And when it releases down, it's going to release the psoas muscle. And many of us, when we breathe, we like this. Inhale, and then we exhale only to about here. So that psoas muscle can't release. Or maybe the psoas muscle is tight, so we don't get the full range of movement of the diaphragm. That was a very simple explanation, but I'm trying to just get the point across that they're very much related. And so that's why we'll work on the breath a little bit here, taking nice long exhales. I know that, go ahead, and we're going to go to the lungs. I want you to see the lungs and see that the lungs, look how high up they go in the body, all the way up to the collarbones. And same way in the back, they go almost up to your shoulders. We do get a decrease in lung function as we age, it's part of the normal aging process, but we don't have to. We can. It's by doing a lot of these exercises that increase our mobility, we can keep that capacity of our lungs. And staying active is the best way to do that. And of course, not smoking, not a good idea. All right, so diaphragmatic breathing, it's the next slide here. All breathing uses the diaphragm. Can't breathe without a diaphragm. So in this next slide, you can see that it shows how the diaphragm moves up and it shows how the diaphragm moves down. And if we can slow down the breathing, we can get that full movement. And what I found for most people is they don't exhale completely. Exhaling completely is very important. So in a minute, we're going to be practicing that 5-second inhale, 5-second exhale. And by the way, breathing through your nose as often as possible, really good for your health. There's a lot of research on that. I did a whole webinar on breath. You can look for that one as well. All right. So I know it says during diaphragmatic breathing, you consciously use your diaphragm to take a deep breath. I don't know. You're always using your diaphragm, but maybe it's the idea of visualizing that nice full movement there. Okay. All right. We're going to be coming back to breath and the diaphragm and the psoas muscle when we do our psoas meditation. But moving on, I want to get through all the pictures before we do our practice. So you have a glute maximus, you have a glute medius, and you have a glute minimus. And common sense tells you the glute medius is in the middle between those two muscles. So you can see it plays a really critical role in stabilizing the hips and pelvis. So if we don't have strong glutes, which most of us don't, I was shocked to find out, I'm in that group too, that my glutes are weak. And there were some exercises that I was given to do where I thought, this is really hard. And my PT said, yeah, it's because your glutes are weak. So not uncommon, but let's practice some glute strengthening exercises today, right? The glutes also help you do hip abduction. Abduction means bringing your leg out to the side. Helps with your pelvic stability. Our pelvis is a part of our body that we don't even think about. Like, when's the last time you said, "Oh, my pelvis needs a tune-up," or "I need to go see the doctor about my pelvis"? And yet, it's the center of our life force. It's the center of gravity. So much is going on in the pelvis. That's where the SI joint is, the tailbone. There's lots of really important organs going on there, but so we'll do some pelvic rocking to just get a sense of that pelvis and being a little friendlier towards our pelvis. So if we have weakness in the glutes, that can lead to hip pain or low back pain or even knee pain. All right. So important. We've got to work on the hip strength. Now, again, I just want to remind you, some people have other underlying conditions or another condition that's more important to address. So I'm just kind of just skimming the surface here with this information. All right, we're going to move forward here. There is a nerve called the piriformis. The piriformis, a muscle called the piriformis. We're going to talk about the sciatic nerve in a second. A muscle called the piriformis. You can see the picture there. And for some people, the piriformis is a culprit. And so, especially if it's putting pressure on the sciatic nerve, which is then sciatica. And I have some great exercises for you to do for your, if you happen to have sciatica. The piriformis, I'm not going to do a lot with it because I think it's very easy for people if we're not doing this live to put too much pressure or to pinch the sciatic nerve, but it's also a good muscle to pay attention to. All right, so the next slide shows you about what sciatic pain is and how that, you can see the little yellow nerve there is that sciatic nerve. It's about the thickness of a pencil, and I think it might be the longest nerve in the body, the sciatic nerve. That's a really long nerve. And if you've had sciatica, you know what I'm talking about. That pain shooting down your leg, can be in the bottom, in your buttock. And there are a lot of different ways to treat that, but I do think it's important that you see a professional before you start to do too much aggressive action on this. All right, but I'm going to give you some things that I don't think should cause pain, but I want you to really be aware and go slowly with those exercises, and we'll be doing that later. Okay. All right. Now it's time for us to actually do a practice together. We're going to be doing something called the psoas meditation. And you're thinking, well, what does meditation have to do with me feeling better in my body? Guys, it's been studied and studied and studied. We finally started studying it. We have concrete, robust research showing us that the mind-body connection is very powerful. How our nervous system operates affects how our body operates. Our gut microbiome affects our nervous system. That's a whole nother conversation, but if you watch my webinars on breathing, on the gut microbiome, I talk a lot more about the mind-body connection there. But there's an emotional piece to how we feel, right? If we've been stressed, if we have trauma, we have a lot of burdens, we're caretakers, caregivers. Uh, um, you know, life is, it's funny, isn't it? How as we get older, it gets more complicated sometimes. Yeah, it does. It gets more complicated. But recognizing those emotional aspects of the psoas muscle can create this opportunity for us to be really sweet and kind to our psoas muscle. So remember that picture of the psoas muscle here. I have a diagram here. I'll just show it to you again so you can remember what it looks like. Let's see. Right there. I think I got that little glare there, but you see that. Up there is your diaphragm, down low is your psoas muscle. Take that snapshot. Visualization imagery is so powerful. And what we're going to do is we're going to lie down. And you can do this lying on the couch. If getting on the floor doesn't feel good, you can do it lying on your couch. You just have to be flat and your knees will be bent. Okay, and then you're going to close your eyes. So let's go ahead and I'm going to sit here and talk to you because your eyes are going to be closed, so you don't need to see. So right now you're making your way either to the floor or to your bed or your couch, and you're going to lie flat with your knees bent, feet flat down. So feet on the bed or feet on the floor. All right, arms by your side. And put a hand on your chest and a hand on your belly. And all I want you to do is use your nose to breathe and just notice how you feel as you take a nice long inhale. So just go slow. I'm more interested in you going slow. And a slow exhale. Just taking your time. So remember, when you inhale, the diaphragm moves up. You can picture that movement. Slow inhale through the nose. And a slow exhale through the nose. Exhale all the way. Exhale completely. That's where we often shortchange ourselves. And can you get to a 5-second inhale and a 5-second exhale? Best you can. Relaxing your lower jaw. Let it unhinge away from your upper jaw. Let your shoulders relax down towards the floor. Just taking this time for yourself. There's nothing else to get done. Just feeling the breath, slowing it down. 5-second inhale. Exhaling completely. Follow your exhale to the very end. There you go. There you go. All right, release your arms down by your side. And you're going to keep your eyes closed. And you're going to bring your mind's eye. Remember that picture I showed you of the psoas muscle. Bring your mind to see and feel your right psoas muscle. Your right psoas muscle. So see that picture, but feel it in your body. Remember, it attaches along your lumbar spine, your low spine, and the other end attaches to your femur, your thigh bone, your leg bone, on the inside, that little nubby part. So picture that muscle. There you go. So we're going to help this muscle relax and release. So put your mind's eye and see the attachment closest to your spine, that low back, and feel it start to lengthen and soften. Just feel it releasing. It doesn't have to hold you up right now. You might feel a softening in the right side in your right groin. Your right knee might not start to fall out, but you start to feel a release of tension and softening at the attachment along the low back, right side. There you go. And then go to the attachment in your mind's eye. See and feel the attachment on your thigh bone, the top of your thigh bone, and it starts to lengthen because it's relaxing. As it relaxes, it just starts to lengthen and soften. In fact, you can start to feel your psoas muscle dropping into your back body, towards the bed or the floor. And the belly of the muscle is also relaxing and releasing. So it's losing tension. It's so relaxed. And you feel that softening in the hip area, right psoas muscle releasing. And it's really pink and juicy and healthy. Good blood flow. You can picture that. You can feel how the muscle releases into the back body. Maybe even feel some space being created from the top of your thigh, between the top of your thigh and your pelvis. It feels like there's more space there as your thigh bone drops away, drops towards your hamstrings, the thigh bone dropping away, feeling more and more relaxed, letting go of tension on the right side, your right psoas muscle. And use the breath, the nice long exhale to release a little bit more. There you go. And just enjoy that softening, that release of the right psoas muscle. Then we're going to go over to the left side, left psoas muscle, and picture it, see it, and feel it. Remember, it attaches at the top. The top part is along your lumbar spine, and it goes behind your organs. It attaches on the inside of your left femur bone, the left thigh bone, nub at the top of the bone. Focus on the attachment by your spine and let it just start to lengthen and relax. With each exhale, let go a little bit more. The attachment near the spine, softening and lengthening, releasing tension. And then put your mind's eye on the attachment on your thigh bone, on your femur. And it starts to lengthen and relax, letting go. There you go. And then the belly of the muscle is softening and relaxing, completely relaxed, pink and juicy. Such a healthy muscle. Good blood flow. Feel the whole muscle releasing down, relaxing. You might even feel your thigh bone dropping away from your pelvis. Left psoas muscle released. Right psoas muscle released. There you go. Softening in the hip area. Take a few more long, slow breaths. Relaxing your jaw, relaxing the roof of your mouth. All right, and when you're ready, you can roll to your side and sit up. We're going to come back. All right, so coming back, the first time I did that psoas meditation, I had tears just pouring out my eyes because of the release of stress and tension. I hadn't realized I was carrying so much stress in the psoas muscle. And there's a lot to be read about the psoas muscle and trauma and the psoas. But like I said, we're not doing a deep dive on a lot of things today. I do want to get to the practice part. Okay, so your next slide is interesting. It's about retraining your brain. Thank goodness for neuroplasticity, meaning that we can rewire our brain. Plasticity means things can be they're malleable, and neuroplasticity has to do with the nervous system. And one of the most harmful things that happens to us as we age is we are impacted by negative age stereotypes. In fact, we grow up with them. Even young children have negative age stereotypes, at least in our culture, not in all cultures. So it's something I also did a webinar for on healthy aging and a whole lot about mindset and how you can add years to your life by changing how you think about aging. But it's important for this topic, this webinar, because there are things that we think about ourselves related to aging that might be impacting how our hips and our back are feeling. So it's a nice opportunity to examine that, and there's some really good material out there about looking at research that's shown how we think about aging has such an impact on our health. Okay, just wanted to mention that. Okay, so now we're going to start moving. So the next slide shows you. Here we go. We're going to get moving. And again, you may not have the pinky ball, and you may not have the block, and you may not have the strap, and you may not have the bolster, you may not have a weight, you may not have a TheraBand. It's okay. You can improvise, you can watch, you can get a water bottle for a weight or something else that's heavier. You can get a tennis ball. That might be really helpful for doing the work that we're going to do with the feet. We're going to work with the feet. That's really good. And I'm going to take a drink of water. Excuse me. A lot of talking. All right. So as I mentioned before, we're going to start seated, then we'll move to standing, then we'll go to the floor. We're not going to be going up and down. So let's all go to the chair. Be sure that you have your props with you, your block, your strap, your pillow, your pinky ball, your weight, and your TheraBand. If you don't have them, don't worry about it. You're going to be fine. All right. So coming to your chair. Actually, you know what? I'm going to stay close up. You're going to be in your chair. Maybe you're already in your chair. And I want to do an assessment with you. Remember I said I was going to do a couple of assessments for you? The first one is for joint laxity or hypermobility. We're going to do it real quick, but I just want to make sure that you're aware if you have joint laxity where your tendons and ligaments are looser. That means that some of the things that we're doing, you have to be slower and more control and really focus on strength and not go into end range, bone on bone, where you're going to cause damage, you're going to cause harm. So the first thing you can do is, let's see, let's put your hand down and bring your pinky finger up. Bring your pinky finger up, just your pinky finger. And if you can get it up so it's at 90 degrees, I cannot show you because I can't do it. But if you can get it all the way up to 90 degrees and check both hands, pull the other one up, not working for me, you would give yourself 2 points, 1 point for each hand. This is a little, it's called the Baton test for joint laxity. All right. So 2 points if you can do your pinky finger, bring it all the way up to a right angle. I can only go about, I don't know, 60 degrees. All right. So next one is make a fist and curl your knuckles down. And then take your thumb, you can have your fingers loose. Take your thumb and see if you can touch your thumb to your forearm. Not going to work for me. That would be hypermobility in your wrist. You get 1 point for each wrist. So if you've got fingers and wrists, that would be 4 points for you. All right. So the next one, hold your arms out. And I can't show you because I don't have hypermobility in my arms. But if I did, this part would be higher. I could push my elbow up and it would be higher. So you can see it kind of dips down there. But if it pops up, 1 point for each arm for hypermobility. A lot of people have hypermobility in their elbows. And so a lot of things they do in yoga, they end up locking their elbows and going into hyperextension. Not good. It wears out the joint. All right. The next one, I'm going to come to standing to show you, is about hypermobility in your pelvis. I think I might have a little bit of hypermobility in my pelvis, or maybe I just have long arms. I'm not really sure which one it is. All right. So this one, hinging at your hip crest. Hip crests are right, remember, thigh bone. This is your hip crest. This is where your femur bone meets the hip socket. I want you to forward fold here and see if you can put your hands on the floor without leaning back. So I get pretty close, so I think I might have some hypermobility in my hips, which would kind of make sense given that I have problems with my SI joint. All right, press into your feet to roll back up. So you get 1 point if you've got that. So 1 for each arm, 1 for each thumb, 1 for each pinky finger, 1 for the hip. And the last one, you need to be seated. And I cannot show you because I do not have hypermobility in my knees. But this one, sit up tall and just put your hands in your lap here. And then push your heels forward and lift your heels off the floor. Mine won't come up. people who can make their heels come up to sitting here, and it's just they're pushing their knees down. I'm not talking about this, you guys. I'm talking about being able to push your knees down to make your heels come up. That's hypermobility in your knees, okay? So you get 1 point for each knee. If you have 5 points or more, that's considered joint laxity. And it's important to know because if you're going to do things like yoga, you don't want to go into end range and cause harm, okay? So I just wanted to mention that. The other thing I want to do is do a little test for glute strength. And for glute strength, be sure that you have a chair or a wall nearby. So I'll just grab my chair. And for glute strength, you do not have to use the chair if you don't want to, but for glute strength, you can hold on to the chair. Let's start with the left leg. I mirror you here. Pick up your left leg. Your knee is in line with your hip, right here. Okay. So here, knee in line with your hip. It's good to hold on to the chair here. And if your hip juts out on the standing leg, or if you feel wobbly, if you, most of us should be able to stand. If you're standing, you might be able to do that, but just put the finger on the chair. If you feel like you're not very stable, or if you feel like your pelvis is uneven. So for a lot of people, they would hike up their pelvis. You can see I'm doing it on purpose, but your pelvis isn't level. That would be an indication that you need to work on your glute strength. Sometimes it's very different, and I can feel my psoas muscle. Okay, did you get a tightness there? That was my psoas muscle grabbing there. I did not like that. So, and I know I have a tight psoas. I'm going to do the other side, and you might notice that it feels different on the other side. So just put a finger on the chair here, push into your standing leg, lift up your other knee, it's level with your hip, and just notice, did you have to shift your weight? Did you jut your hip up? Can you support this leg here? Is the pelvis level? Meaning you didn't hike it up. Okay. You don't have to stand here very long. You'll know. Okay. All right. That's just a very small test to talk about our glutes. There's another movement we're going to do later that if it's challenging for you to do, probably is one you need to do a lot for your glute strength. All right, so we're going to start in the chair. Come to sitting in your chair. And my hope is that you pick some kind of routine from this webinar that you can do every day. So maybe it's going to be the chair portion, maybe it's going to be bits and pieces from the chair, standing, floor. Even 5 minutes a day would be good. All right, so I have my props nearby. And the first thing I want you to do is put your hands on your lap and move so that your shoulders, I'm going to turn, so that your shoulders are over your hips and the back of your head is in line with your spine. There you go. Press your sit bones, that's part of your pelvis. Push your sit bones into the chair and grow your spine out of your pelvis, lifting the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. And then let your elbows be really heavy. There you go. All right. Remember how important breath is? We're going to practice something called the cyclic sigh, just to get our breath going here. It's probably the best breathing exercise I can teach you. So just listen for a second. The cyclic sigh is a slow inhale through the nose, and then a quick inhale through the nose, and then sighing out the mouth. It's like this. All right, so let's do 5 of those together. Inhale it, you inhale, then another quick inhale, and then sigh out the mouth. 5 of those. Ready? Let's go. All right. And then a little movement. We're going to liberate the spine here by doing something called the Atlas axis mobilization. All I want you to do is nod your head ever so slightly up and down, like you're saying, yes, please. Try to make the movement at the very, very top of your spine. Remember your cervical spine. Your eyes are open and you're barely moving your head up and down, nodding it. Trying to bring movement to the very top of the spine here. Oh, that's the atlas. We're going to mobilize the atlas axis to liberate the rest of the spine. Right now, come to center and turn your head just a little bit side to side. Very relaxed. If you're saying no thanks. Very relaxed movement at the top of the spine. There you go. Come to center and draw a figure 8 with your nose. It's just a little one. Oh, that feels good. Eyes are open. Go the other direction. Turn that figure 8 on its side. Go the other direction. There you go. All right. And bring your shoulders up to your ears and drop. And up to your ears and drop. You're going to grab that pinky ball. I'm going to do this seated. We could do it standing if you prefer. But I just want you to roll the pinky ball under your foot. If you don't have a pinky ball and you don't have a tennis ball, you don't have something to make shift, then what I want you to do is bring that foot up best you can. Maybe put another chair there and massage with your thumbs. Really work into the arch of your foot. Move your toes around, crisscross your toes, bend them down. Really want you to work on that, really moving the fascia, you're working with the fascia and working with the arches of your feet, okay? But if you've got that pinky ball, it's really wonderful. You can put some weight into it, move it around, put your heel on the floor and move it across. Now, see, I'm moving the foot a different way. You can curl the toes down, bring the pinky ball under the ball of your foot and curl your toes down and up. This is your transverse arch here. We get the fascia here gets really tight, so this is a good way to move that, to work with that fascia. And then move the ball around and find a cranky spot and hang out there. Maybe pulse the ball or put some extra weight or twist your foot a little bit. So this I would do, 5 minutes each foot, just really taking your time. It is a wonderful thing to do for your feet. Helps with plantar fasciitis. It's going to help with your ankle mobility, which then again cascades up to every part of your body. So wonderful to work with the pinky ball. All right, let's go to the other side. Just roll that ball around. You can put some extra weight. Again, you can be standing doing this. Don't overdo it. Please don't use a golf ball. I know sometimes people think that golf ball's been recommended. I've just seen someone really fracture their foot with a golf ball. So nothing that's too hard. Heel on the floor and you wave your foot so it goes across. See if I can show you a little better here. The ball's at the back and you wave your foot. There you go, like that. And then bring the ball forward and curl your toes down. Big stretch across the top of your foot. Toes up to the ceiling. Curl your toes down, up, and curl. Now find a cranky spot. Easy for me to do. And hang out there. Pulse your foot, twist your foot. Put some extra weight into that. I'm sure there's another cranky spot nearby. Working a lot with the fascia. This is really great for people who have plantar fasciitis. I have other things to do for that, but we're not going to focus on that today. I did do a webinar recently on happy hands, happy feet. It was all about the pinky ball and fascia, and we did a lot of work with the pinky ball. So, and thank goodness Illinois records all those, and they're all available to you. All right, you can set that pinky ball aside. By the way, if you've got two and you want to give yourself a massage, and massages are expensive, pinky balls are cheap. Let me show you real quick. 2 balls behind you against the wall, way up high. Press into them either side of your spine. And you can give yourself a nice little massage there. and that could release some tension. You'll be adjusting. It's quite lovely. All right. I have a pinky ball in my travel bag. I have one in my car. I have one where I watch TV. Love the pinky ball. When I drive, I like to use it on my hands. Sometimes I put it behind my back. All right, pinky ball. Have ball, we'll travel. All right, you don't need that anymore. Coming back to our seated position. Let's do some ankle rolls. Point and flex, point and flex. This is pointing, this is flexing. Do the other foot, point and flex, point and flex. And do a little bit of rolling the ankle. There you go. All right, take that strap, put it underneath the ball of your foot. Hold one strap in each hand. Sit up tall, shoulders are over the hips. Okay, not leaning, sitting up tall. Press into the strap with the ball of your foot and press your heel forward. There you go. So we call it an active stretch. So for purposes of moving through this practice, I'm only doing a little bit of every activity. You can do them much longer. You can do hold for longer. You can do it several times. All right, and then you move that leg out to the side, not the pelvis, not the hips, just the leg. Keep pressing the strap into the strap with the ball of your foot. And then switch hands and come across. See my pinky toe right there? I'm going to pull it towards my outer hip. This can be nice for sciatica. If you've got some sciatica going, it's a little nerve flossing here. Pull the pinky toe towards the outer hip. And you can use that to hoist your leg up if you want. Maybe it doesn't come all the way up here. Maybe it crosses your shin. Lengthen the crown of your head across the room. You're not trying to forward fold a lot. Reach the crown of your head across the room. You can feel that stretch coming into the glute area. And just take a nice long inhale through the nose. And with the exhale, soften in the glute area. Then we'll do the other side. Come on up and put the strap underneath the ball of your foot. One strap in each hand. Press into the strap with the ball of your foot. Press your heel forward as you press into the strap. I'm just going to turn so you can see. Press into the strap with the ball of the foot. It's not under the arch. And press the heel forward. There you go. Active stretch. Both straps into the hand, same side. Bring the leg out, just the leg, not the hip. Keep your active stretch going, sitting up tall. And then come back. You're going to switch hands and go across. This is where you pull the pinky toe towards the outer hip. You can have the leg down. It doesn't have to be all the way up. Good. And then you can use it to bring that leg up. Might feel very different on this side. Sure does for me. All right, lengthen up through the crown of your head. Oh, and start to reach your crown of your head across the room. Pause. When it gets really tight, pause and breathe into that area and soften. You lengthen through the spine. Reach the crown of the head across the room. All right. Now that's one I would definitely want to do longer. Okay. With your straps, just put the strap out in front of you. Give it a little snap. So you have some tension. Lift the arms up really high. Lift from the upper arms. And just do a turn to the right and a turn to the left. Remember, we're turning from the mid-spine, thoracic spine. You know where that is, not the low spine. So my hips stay forward. Lumbar spine's not participating in this twist. It's a really nice way to get some opening. Look up between your hands. You're getting some extension now in your back. Press into your sit bones. Look up to your strap. Press down to look up. There you go. Lower the strap all the way down. And you can set that aside. We're going to do cat-cow. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see Remember, I want you to work on your thoracic spine, your mid-spine. That's the part that gets really stuck, it loses mobility. Put your hands on your thighs here. Round your back, push your belly button towards your spine and look at your belly button. That's the cat part. Then press into your sit bones, lift your sternum, your breastbone, up towards the ceiling. This is the cow part. This is called extension. When we round, it's called a flexion. Round. Try to get more mobility in the thoracic spine. Really press the whole spine towards the wall behind you. Press into your sit bones and lengthen. Look up. Good. That's your cat-cow movement. So many things we can do if staying seated. We're going to do a little bit of marching here. Marching, we have different ways of doing this. You could do it if you want to do it with some weight. You could do some holding some weights on your thighs, but do some marching. You got to use your core. I'm going to do some core work here, seated core work. So marching, good. You can also hold a leg out and lift it up. Hold the leg out, lift it up. Different options here. All right. So if you have that block nearby, I want you to use your block. Grab your block. What did I do with my block? Oh, it's over here. So we're going to grab your block, put it between your knees. I want to wake up the abs here. Put it between your knees, and on your exhale, squeeze. I have it mid-width. Here's skinny, here's fat, mid-width. On your exhale, squeeze, waking up the belly muscles. And inhale. On your exhale, squeeze and come onto your toes. Squeezing that block and set it down. And on your next exhale again, squeeze the block and lift your heels. Good. All right. Sit to stand. If it works for you, cross your arms across your chest. This might be a lot for some of us. Press into your feet and come to standing. Now, this is the part I want you to do slowly. Start to bend your knees, reach your sit bones way back there, and no plopping. Gently sit down. You have to use your core to do that. Do this as much as you can. Don't use your hands to get out of a chair. Nice and slow. I'm going to turn my chair so you can see how slowly I'm going. Sitting down. All right. Bend the knees, reach those sit bones back. Chair is there, and gently sit down. Press into your feet. Come up to standing. And last one. Pause. Sit bones reach back. Gently sit down. That will start to strengthen your core right away. We can also do clams from the chair. So if you have a band, that's what you would be putting on right now. Some people really like the long band because then they can adjust it. It can be looser or tighter. Your clams, it goes above the knees, and you're moving your leg out to the side. If you have to lean back a little bit, that's okay. If you can sit tall, you're just moving, and you can see how this is going into the glute. This is your abduction. Adduction means you're moving in. Abduction is going out. To the other side, plant that foot. So you might need more tension. The hips not moving. You really feel this going into your glutes. All right. So again, I'd probably do 20 of those, 10 on each side. Pause, repeat, pause, repeat. Remember, when you do certain exercises that require a lot of muscle strength, you need to rest your muscles a day. So a lot of times when I go to the gym, I'll do upper body weights, and then the next day I'll do lower body weights. But you always want to give a day to the muscles to build back up. Okay? All right, so those are some of the things we can do seated. There's a lot more you can do, but I wanted to give you some basics. Let's come to standing. Coming to standing, you can have your chair nearby if you'd like. Talk a little bit about posture. So important for building strength in our core. Stand with your feet hip distance apart. Remember, hip distance means under those hip joints, right here, hip sockets. not out here. Okay, this is where your hip socket is. So your feet are going to be about 4 inches apart. Arms by your side. And remember I talked about your tailbone? Can you let your tailbone be heavy? Let your tailbone be really heavy. So heavy, it's just dripping towards the floor. There you go. I'm going to turn to the side a little bit here. Then bring your shoulders up to your ears and drop them. And one more time, up and drop. And now bring your shoulders up just 2 inches, back 2 inches, and shoulder blades down your back 2 inches. You're looking straight ahead. Press into your feet and lift up through the crown of your head. You got it. All right. That's lovely posture there. Open your feet nice and wide. We're going to move into sumo pose. And remember, you can have that chair in front of you or off to the side, be closer to the wall. Open your feet really wide. How wide, you ask? As wide as the length of your leg. Pretty wide. Hands on your hips, stick your bottom out, bend your knees, and then straighten. Really press the shins forward. This is so good for ankle mobility. You're working on the pelvic floor too. Bending and straightening. The pelvis is moving. The sit bones are moving. I'm going to show you from the side so you can see a lot of flexion, ankles, knees, and hips. Come into that bent knee position and stay right there. Pick up your right heel really high and slowly lower it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pick up your other heel and slowly lower. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You know what's coming. Pick up both heels and slowly lower. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press and stand. Turn your toes in. Step your feet together. Now we're going to move into those deadlifts. If you don't have a weight, don't worry about it. Maybe you can find something heavy that makes sense for you. I'm just using a lightweight here. I typically do these at the gym where I have the kettlebells. So I just have an 8-pound weight. Watch, because it's form that is so important in a deadlift. And deadlifts do so much for your legs, your glutes, your quads, your core, your back. So much bang for your buck. All right, so I'm going to hold the weight here. Feet are about, oh, it's about hip distance again, about 5 inches apart, maybe 6, maybe a little bit more, 6 inches. So just watch so you can see. The spine stays nice and long. Sit back, dangle the weight over the floor. Spine is nice and long. A little tiny tuck of the sitting bones. Press into the feet to stand all the way up and stand tall. Okay, so let's do it together. Stand tall. Start to move the sit bones back like you're sitting. Long spine, so your nose is pointing towards the top of your mat. Nice long spine. Tiny tuck of the sit bones, press into the feet and come all the way back up. Let's do 3 more. Sit back. Long spine. Little tuck of the sit bones. You can really feel this in the buttock muscles. So your glute medius, sit back. Not rounding the spine at all. Keep it really long. Put the weight distribution from the top of the foot to the heel. Let it be the same. Tiny tuck of the sit bones. It's just a really small tuck. Let's just make that enough. All right. You can set that weight aside. Typically, I would do 10 of those. Rest. 10 more. Rest. So 3 sets of 10 repetitions for that. And then as you get stronger, you'll start to increase the weight as well. Let's go to the wall and do something I call shower at the wall. Stand close to the wall. Oh, how close? Really depends on how tall you are. So I'm about 20 inches away. Put your hands on the wall, higher than your shoulders. Hands flat on the wall. Press your hips back and drop your chest between your arms. The chest opener. It's very helpful for breathing. It's good for back extension. Press into the wall and come back up. So if you notice, you can adjust your feet. You might feel like you need to be closer or farther away. It's not the same thing as an L. So this would be L here. Hands are higher than the shoulders. Press the hips back. Drop the chest down. And use a nice, long, slow breathing here. All right. Have your back to the wall. I'm going to do a little bit more extension. Remember, we're working with the thoracic spine. Oh, maybe about 3 or 4 inches away from the wall. Take an inhale into your upper back. And exhale, sweep your arms up. Look up between your hands. Then move your thumbs towards the wall behind you. Look between your hands. Move your thumbs closer to the wall behind you. Press into your feet. Drop your tailbone. Let it be really heavy. And drop your lower ribs towards your feet. Let your lower ribs sink down towards the floor. Let them sink into your body. Rather than squirting rib juice all over the place, yeah, draw those low ribs in. Look between your hand. Maybe you can get your fingers on the wall. Press into your feet to come back up. Lots of extension. Yeah, doing a back bend every day is really good for us. Okay, let's grab that block again. Do some more work for the glute. And I'm going to take that block and I'm going to put the block, I'm going to lift my knee up so it's about 60 degrees. This is 90, this is about 60. Press into the wall. Press the block into the wall and stand up really tall. So we want to stay here for at least 15 seconds and work our way up to a minute. All right, so this knee is only about 60 degrees. Now we can switch. Go to the other side. Sturdy in the standing leg. Knee comes up about 60 degrees, pressing the block into the wall. Make sure you're standing up nice and tall. Don't lean forward. I can feel this on both sides. Nice, long, slow breath through the nose. All right. And then you can release. That's a really nice way to work with the glutes there. We're going to do more on the floor when we move to the floor in just a second. But I do want to remind you, doing those deadlifts are probably one of the best things you could do. Start with that lower weight. All right, you can set your block aside. We're going to come down onto the floor. So if you can't come down onto the floor, you may just be watching for now. But it could be that some of these activities you can do. I'm going to move my mat back so that you get a good view of what's going on here. Have your strap handy and your cushion bolster handy. Come onto your back. We're going to do something called the dead bug. So if you feel pulling on your low back when you start to do this, I want you to keep your feet on the floor and I want you to just slide your feet. So take a peek, just slide your feet, okay? All right, so before we do that, let's do our pelvic rocking. Remember I mentioned that the pelvis is very sadly ignored. All right, all you're gonna do is tip your sit bones down and then tip your sit bones up. Sit bones are part of your pelvis. Go ahead, you can touch them, they belong to you. Sit bones are right here, part of your pelvis. It's a part of your pelvis that touches the chair when you sit. Sit bones, all right. Sit bones down, a little arch in your low back. Sit bones up, flatten the back. Just let your pelvis rock here. Get a sense of the pelvis moving. It can be so freeing just to let your pelvis move. Sit bones down on the inhale. Exhale, sit bones up towards the ceiling. Just enjoy that movement. Inhale, sit bones down. Exhale, sit bones up. There you go. Let's add the arms. Inhale, sit bones down, arms all the way overhead, to the floor overhead behind you, and then sit bones up towards the ceiling, arms back by your side. Take your time. This is not a fast movement. And there you go. And one more. That's it. All right, we're going to move into the dead bug. Pick your feet up off the floor, bring your legs up in the air. You do not need your legs way up here. That's going to bring your tailbone off the floor. Maybe the legs are at a bit of a diagonal here. Arms up in the air, drop your shoulders. And again, if this is not feeling comfortable, I just want you to slide your legs because for some of us, this might put too much strain on your low back. This is a really good way to work on the core and the cross crawl. It's good for your brain. Bring your right leg out to the side, just about 80%, and your left arm the other direction. Don't fall onto your thigh. Don't let your pelvis rock. Come back to center. Now bring your left leg out to the side and your right arm the other direction. Don't go as far as you can, especially those folks with joint laxity. Really want you to control this movement. Feel how your belly muscles are supporting you. Right leg, left arm, go a little bit farther. See how far you can go out with that right leg without falling onto your thigh. And slowly, that's the name of the game, slowly, slowly, using muscle, not momentum. And we'll do one more on the other side. Left leg, right arm. And slowly bring that up. Good. There's enough space under your low back for a ladybug, so you're not flattening it and you're not arching it. Now bring the right leg to the floor, hover the heel over the floor, left arm overhead. You're working on the belly muscles. Slowly bring that leg up. We're only going to do one on each side because this could be a lot for many people. And then reach the left leg out, hover the heel over the floor, right arm overhead. Your low back should not be hurting, should not be arching. And come back up. Bring your feet down to the floor. We're going to move into a bridge pose. Press your feet into the floor. Feel the weight in the top of your foot and the heel of your foot. And then lift your hips up off the floor. Stay on your shoulder blades. Lift your hips up off the floor. Stay on your shoulder blades. Be sure your chin's not popped up. So long behind the back of the neck is nice and long. Lift your hips up a little higher. Maybe walk your feet in a little bit. If you're getting cramps in the hamstrings, drop your hips a bit. Lift the pelvis, but stay on your shoulder blades. There you go. You want to add to this, you can have your arms up in the air. You want to add, you can bring a leg up and slowly move it up and down. Slow, slow, slow. Do the other side. Nice and slow. Only go level to the knee. Keep that pelvis lifted. Both feet on the floor and come all the way down. I want to show you how to do the mini crunch. So watch for a second, because this is some place where people often lose the engagement of the transverse abdominis. It's a deep corset muscle, abdominal muscle. So watch for a second. Many of us need to use a strap for this, so I'm going to have you do that, especially if you're a beginner to this core work. Put a strap down the center of your mat. It's going to be a little hammock for your head so that you don't use your neck and you don't use your psoas muscle. I want you to use belly muscles. The psoas loves to participate in sit-ups. All right, so hold the strap close to your head, elbows in your peripheral vision. Think about knitting your lower ribs, meaning bringing the low ribs together. Lift your head up a smidge and drop your head into the strap. Your head is not doing the lifting. It's the knitting of the ribs. It's your deep corset muscles. Inhale into your upper back and exhale. Lift your shoulder blades off the mat. Just let the head come along for the ride. Relax your head into that strap. You're not pulling yourself up with the strap. It's just holding your head. Inhale into your upper back and exhale. Lengthen through the crown of your head. It's just a thought. It's just an intention. Look at your belly button. Try to come up a little bit higher using the knitting of the ribs. Draw the low ribs together to come up a little bit higher. You're breathing here. Keep the knitting of the ribs and slowly come back down. You do not have to use the strap. It's just there to help you so you don't use your neck and you don't grab in your hip flexors. You can just clasp here. So we'll do a couple of these together. Slow, the best mini crunch you can do. Ready? Inhale, shoulder blades off the mat. Lengthen through the crown of your head. By the way, tuck your chin just a smidge. Enough space between your chin and your chest for a small peach. Inhale into your upper back. Exhale, lift the shoulder blades off the mat by knitting your ribs. Look at your belly button. Inhale into your upper back. Lengthen through the crown of your head. Lift from your armpits. Look at your belly button. Let your head be heavy. Look at your belly button. And keep the ribs knitting as you come back down. 2 more. Inhale up. Head heavy in the hands. Lift from the upper arms. Lengthen through the crown of your head. Soften your eyes. Get your shoulder blades off the mat. Looking at your belly button. Knitting the ribs, come back down. Last one, the most perfect of all. Inhale, shoulder blades off the mat. Tuck the chin a smidge. Inhale into your upper back. Exhale, lift from the armpits. Lift up, drawing the low ribs together. Let your head be really heavy. Relaxing your hip crease. Use your belly muscles. Knit the lower ribs, lifting the shoulder blades up a little bit higher. And slowly come back down. So I would say do 8 to 10 of those 3 times. All right. And we're just running through things to give you an idea of options that you have when you are doing your practice. Bring your leg up in the air, point your toe, and just do some little circles, nice and slow. Nice and slow. Inhale out to the side, exhale around. Nice and long through the back of your neck. Go the other direction. Inhale to the inside, back and around. We're not using momentum. We're going really slowly here. You feel how your belly muscles, your abdominal muscles support the leg. That's it. And do the other side. Bring the opposite leg up in the air. Go to the outside and come around. Inhale to the out. Exhale around. Slowly, slowly, slowly. People with joint laxity often can't feel anything, so it's hard to go slow. They want to go big and they want to feel something. See if you can use your muscles to help you feel. Go the other direction. All right, and then bring that foot back down to the floor. Let's come on to the belly. Have that bolster handy. When you're on your belly, or high pillow, when you're on your belly, bring your hands underneath your armpits. So lie on your belly, hands underneath your armpits, legs nice and long, extend through your pinky toes. Press your pubic bone down. Push it down into the mat. Lengthen through the crown of your head and back through your pinky toes. Lengthen through the crown of your head and back through your pinky toes. There you go. Let your shoulders relax away from your ears. I want you to feel your shoulder blades, your scapula in that sweet spot. They're not pinching in. They're not pinching in. Feels very relaxed here. Yeah? Press down through your pubic bone. Lengthen through the crown of your head and lift your chest away from the mat. Your head just comes along for the ride. I know your head wants to help do the lifting. Just let the head come along for the ride. Lift the chest away from the floor. Reach back through your pinky toes. Lift your chest away from the floor. You're working on your back here, getting some extension in the thoracic spine, right? So you're not hinging in the low back at all. Lengthen through the crown of your head. Press your chest forward as it lifts up. You're breathing and come back down. We're going to do that 10 times, so we're going to do a lot faster than we just did. So inhale, come up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Come up and down. Up. Down. Maybe we'll just do 6 or 7. Up and down. I think that's enough. Rest, stacked hands, rest your forehead on your stacked hands. All right, I want you to get that bolster or blanket or pillow, and I want it to be pretty high, so I'm going to roll mine up a bit so that's, oh, I don't know, at least like 5, 6 inches off the floor. This is where we're really going to work on those glutes and some muscles in your back called the multifidi. This is where you're going to figure out how your glutes are doing too. All right, so lie over your bolster, pillow, blanket, whatever it is. Your pelvis goes there, not your belly, not your thighs, your pelvis. You can stack your hands, rest your forehead on your stacked hands. And I'm going to keep my head up a little bit just because my voice gets muffled if I don't. Pick up your right leg. Pick it up high enough to just barely get the right hip off the blanket. Just barely. You're kind of holding it, just not straight to the middle, straight out from the hip. And you're holding here and you're breathing. And you'll know right away if your glutes can't support your leg. So I want you to try to stay here for at least 10 seconds. If that doesn't work, put the leg down. Any pain, put the leg down. Nothing we're doing should cause pain. Fatigue, but not pain. I'd like you to be able to work your way up to a full minute holding your leg here. So you're using your glute, but I also really want you to think about those muscles along the side of your spine. Multifidus is the name of the muscle. Multifidi is the plural, and they are supporting you too. And you're breathing. All right, that's probably enough for most people. Let's do the other side. Lift the leg, hip barely comes off. Press, I forgot to tell you, press down through your pubic bone. Press down into your pubic bone to do this. Nice, long, slow breaths. All right, and then release. You can press yourself up. Last movement we're going to do is the big toe pose with a little nerve flossing. You need your strap for this. This is also good if you have sciatica. I'm going to do it much faster than I would normally do it. As I said, I just want you guys to get an idea of the activities, but everything you can do for longer holds or more repetitions. So put the strap over the ball of your foot, one strap in each hand, lower leg is straight. Straighten this leg, no bend in the knees, but don't lock the knee. So I don't have my leg way up here because my knee will bend. So down here, press into the strap with the ball of the foot. Put both straps into the opposite hand. Lift your foot slightly, bring it across, only about 4 inches, not much at all. This hip stays down. We did this when we were seated. This is amazing for sciatica. Pull the pinky toe to the outer hip. Pinky toe, pull it down towards the outer hip. All right, back to center and lower the leg. That's for sciatica. Try the other foot. It's under the ball of the foot. Bring the leg up, not so high that you bend your knee. Press into the strap with the ball of your foot. Press your heel forward. Put both straps into the opposite hand. Come across about 4 inches. Pull the pinky toe to the outer hip. There you go. And I would hold this about 10 seconds and do it 3 times. Don't go so far over that this causes pain. This hip is pretty much down. The hip that's the leg that's up in the air. Back to center and lengthen and lower. A little nerve flossing here. Bring that foot up in the air. Pull your toes towards your face and lift your chin towards the ceiling. Point your toes, put your head back, toes point away, look towards your knee. So look up for a second so you can see this. This is a nerve flossing. I'm lifting my head a little bit. So when the toes come back, the chin comes up, toes go forward, chin lifts up. Try the other side. Nerve flossing. This is for sciatica. Toes towards your face, chin comes up, toes away, chin goes down. To release the psoas muscle, I can't demonstrate it. Another good way to release it is to lie on your bed, scoot all the way to the edge, dangle your leg off and let it drop and relax. This will help release the psoas muscle. You have your psoas meditation, but that's another good one. Scoot to the edge of the bed, drop the leg off the edge of the bed, just let it hang there and breathe. Then of course you have to go the other side or flip yourself around. Okay. Sometimes I do that from kneeling, but it can be a lot for some people. All right. So come on up. So many things we could still do, but you got a brief intro. And if you just do, 10 minutes a day. All right. So let's go back to our slideshow. And I'm going to skip ahead just because I know we're starting to run out of time here and just talk about how important it is to exercise, to have a healthy diet, to get good sleep. Some fitness tips, working out with a friend. You can fast forward, bend. Having goals. Having a good fitness habit means that you set up your environment, setting up your systems. It's not about willpower. It's about setting yourself up to succeed. Little changes make for big habit changes. All right. Be sure to incorporate some resistance training, some strength training. These are our reminders. We're going to be, we're on slide 23. There you go. And then the next slide, got to get your cardio. So go out and walk, add more protein to your diet, get good sleep, 7 to 9 hours. But the most important thing is consistency. Even if you just do 2 minutes every day, do it every day. I have some resources. I'm not going to spend time on this because you can go back and watch the recording and find these links. I think they might be helpful. And then the next slide shows a few more, what you can find. All right. And again, we talked about a strong, stable core, a healthy SI joint, working with the glutes, moving, being consistent are key. And then moving forward, it's pretty much the same recipe for staying healthy. But I think the biggest, excuse me, the biggest obstacle is making ourselves a priority. And I really recommend, even if you've got a long to-do list, let's go to slide 29. Take care of yourself first. You'll be more productive. Take care of yourself first. Get up 5 minutes earlier. Do 5 minutes of something that's good for your health. All right. And last but not least, if you need to email me, you have a question, something didn't make sense, you have a special concern. I am a cancer survivor, 15 years now from ovarian cancer. And if I can help in any way, I really want to be there for you. All right. Until we meet again, I hope that you stay well, fill your cup first. And it's been such a privilege. All right, everybody.